All right, look, it should be no surprise that there is an overall silence coming from the black community. Literally, America is crumbling to pieces, and you have barely heard a peep from black people. And I actually find it extremely surprising that people actually expect black people to feel sorry or feel some type of sympathy for the downfall of America. After everything that America has put us through, do you really think that we're all in silence sitting back thinking about now we can fix this shit and we can bring things back to the way they were? No and no. We do not want things to go back to the way they were. And you know what's crazy? I think a lot of people mistake this silence that's coming from the black community as a lack of awareness, as if maybe we don't know what's going on. You might see us dancing and having fun and playing around and shit still, and you might think, these niggas just don't take shit seriously. But I'll tell you what, at a certain point, niggas will stop dancing, niggas will stop singing, niggas will stop going along to get along.
That is basically a valid point to make about the whole King thing. Here's a question that I saw, did not realize until it hit the news a lot, was that it was very white. What do you make of that? That the guy in Baltimore, the paper there said, we struggled to, our photographer, to find a picture of black people in this march. I'm okay with that. I didn't go, and I feel like, well, you talk.
Well, we had a meeting.
Yeah, go ahead. Yes.
And let's just say it didn't go too well for white folks, that's all.
All right, so here's what we're doing for 2026. The first thing we're going to be doing, we're not building somebody's country that they can't build themselves. We're not doing that no more, family. None of that year of return, none of that. We're not doing that. We got to focus on self-building home first.
Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. I hope you are doing great wherever you are watching us from. They thought silence meant weakness. What if it's actually the strongest statement being made right now? Let's dive straight into the video. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel, like and share the video to help the channel out. I'll be back with my commentaries.
I don't know how to put it into words, but I genuinely want to have a conversation about this. Okay, I genuinely, like, no disrespect, just a genuine conversation. With everything going on right now, especially in America, there's a lot of civil unrest. It's almost to the point where it's like a boiling point, where it's about to pop, where it's about to burst. Everyone is having civil unrest. It's like it's teetering onto something, but we don't know what it is yet, right? Everybody keeps saying, how could they do this? Why isn't anybody stopping anything? Like, what's going on? There was a black woman that said, and I quote, "The reason why nobody is throwing the first stone is because they're waiting for black people to throw it first." That has altered my brain chemistry because, mind you, we know the laws are going to come down to us. So, of course, we're going to try to stand up for others. And I've noticed immediately, especially with the ICE raids, we've seen videos of people saying, well, why haven't black people stepped in? We did this, a transactional interaction. They tie it back to Black Lives Matter. Like, it's blowing my mind. I don't know how to explain it.
These folks wondering where black people are? We at home. We are minding our business. Anybody that is asking us to do anything other than mind our business and ain't apologized, problematic. Because y'all still ain't learned your lesson. Y'all still thinking we out here being somebody mule. Absolutely not. Okay, I saw a video. If you have not seen Two Raw, Two Reels take on this young man that is basically saying we need to come together and build community. No, we don't need to build community with you, because when we had an opportunity to, y'all didn't want to build. Y'all said other stuff about Kamala Harris, VP Harris, Attorney General. Y'all said everything about her qualifications and that she wasn't this, that, and the third. And we actually said and fundraised and raised the money. We put our money where our mouth is because we knew what we were up against. Like, until y'all apologize for not trusting us, and the apology need to be as loud as the disrespect. That's what people don't understand. People out here trying to force black people into activism, and it's just not working, no matter how y'all kicking and screaming and how high y'all hollering. Like, that don't do nothing but turn us off. A lot of us grew up with black grandmas and aunties and them. The louder you holler, the more they don't give a damn. They will let you cry yourself to sleep. Okay? So, if you want us to be outside and in the streets, too bad, so sad. If you want us to be organizing and telling people where to go, how to get there, and where to be, too bad. That's not where we at. The responsibility now relies on y'all, because we try to tell y'all. I will never stop making videos about this. Literally, like, my whole entire content has changed because some of y'all don't believe fat meat is greasy. And here we are. Here we are. Y'all need to leave Madam VP Harris alone. Let her do whatever she want to do. If she want to go to Kroger, if she want to go hike in the mountains, if she want to go to Mammoth, California for a ski weekend, we gonna let her. For the rest of us, black Americans, we not coming outside unless we want to. We not building nothing unless we want to. Because there has been a breach of trust. And that's just is where it is. That election was a couple months ago. We not just getting over it, because there's generational harm that is being caused, all because y'all didn't want that black woman in office. And it shows. It shows. And now y'all finding out that this man that currently occupies the White House, he don't like y'all either. And here we are. Y'all want us to come out and slave and be outside and help y'all organize and fight the power that be? No. Y'all better leave us alone and let that apology be as loud as the disrespect and the harm that y'all done caused. Okay, bye.
I just saw a post that was just like, the fact that people aren't rioting in the streets of America is truly astounding. And the first comment under it was, they're waiting on black people to do it. And now that I think about it, that is literally facts. The reason why things are not happening right now the way they should, and riots are not happening the way they should, is because they want us to be on the front lines of it, like we always are, of every revolution in American history. But this time we don't want to do it because we know how that turns out for us. It just turns out them labeling us as the usual suspects. It's just an easy excuse for them to put violence on us or attached to us as like a part of our character or something. They're afraid to be on the front lines of it themselves because they know that the perception of them is going to change afterwards, no matter what happens.
I'm going to tell you, like my grandma told me, it's because we like ourselves. It's because we like ourselves. They cannot do anything to us to take away our joy. They can't do anything to us to take away our confidence. They can't do anything to us that makes us feel like we're not going to make it through. We know we're going to make it through because our ancestors did. Anything that you could do to a group of people have been done to us. And because we know that, because we know our ancestors survived much worse, we know that we can. They sang during the worst of times, so we can sing now. They laughed during that. We can laugh now. We like ourselves. And that's, if other groups of people, if they had to go through what we go through, they would not make it. And they know that. So they don't understand why we do. They don't understand how we can still laugh through all of this pain and turmoil. All the jokes that we made about how every day the world's falling apart, and here we are skating and double dutch and playing spades and line dancing and having a good time. They don't understand how that's happening. You see the farmers out there in Kentucky or Nebraska, wherever, they are having a horrible time, and their suicide rates are 3 times the national average right now because they can't take it. They cannot take what we can take. Not only can we take it, not only can we endure, we can also be happy while we're doing it. We can find joy while we're doing it. That's why black people always will be like, we don't take anything seriously. Or we make a joke out of everything. In every situation, we make a joke because we know how to have joy. We figured out that life is about having fun. And people will look at that and they hate it. They hate it. They say that we're lazy, They say that we are, uneducated and stupid and everything, childish, immature. But the truth is they are jealous. They're jealous because if what had happened to us happened to them, they would not be as happy as we are. They would not have figured out a way to still have joy. And they hate us for it. They hate us that they cannot do anything to us to rob us of that joy. And you know why? It's because they didn't give it to us. So they can't take it away.
Can we talk about how fast the cost of living in Michigan has changed? Because I swear it happened overnight. Like in 2018, you could walk into Meijer, Kroger, any of those grocery stores with $100 and you could leave with quite a bit of groceries. Now I have barely anything in my cart. I get to the register, it's $187. 2018 gas, around $2 a gallon, maybe a little more. Now we're pushing $5. And don't even get me started on rent for apartments. It used to be like $900, now it's $17. And the carpet in them is still from 2004. Car insurance, insane. Fast food, crazy high, but wages have moved like 37 cents. I think this is the craziest part about it all. People aren't buying luxury anything. Like all out here struggling over basic necessities. Why does existing in Michigan feel like a rich people activity?
How are people affording life right now? How are people tackling this cost of living on the average American salary? I just watched a TikTok of a teacher who makes a teacher's salary. I don't know what state she's in, so I don't know how much she makes, but her 1-bedroom apartment is $2,000. And when she spends $2,000 on that 1-bedroom apartment, it doesn't even come with a washer and dryer. So she has to go pay an additional $2 every time she wants to use their washer and dryer. Okay, like, how does that leave her any extra money to spend? And then she said she had a $400 car payment, which some people were bashing her on that. But in today's economy with interest rates, that's really not that bad. And I'm sure she needs a dependable car. So you talk about teacher's salary, $2,000 in rent, $400 car payment, you got insurance, you got groceries, electricity. Like, I don't understand how people are affording life right now. And it really makes me sad for some people. You have people who are like her. She's single. She has her own salary, or families where it just works out best for them, for the mother to stay home. And if the father is just making an average American salary, how are they affording life without going in a bunch of debt? This lady who's a teacher started crying because she said she realizes on her salary and where she lives, she will actually end up in more debt. Then, like, she will just continue to accrue more debt and more debt and more debt because her salary is not matching the cost of living. And what's sad is I've seen people be like, just spend less. Listen, guys, the cost of living is rising and our salaries are stagnant. Okay, so there's not just spend less. That's not the problem here. The problem is the cost of living is outrageous, and minimum wage in some states is still $7.25. Teachers in some states are still paid a ridiculously low salary, even though their job is super important. I don't know what we can do about this, but I'm just going on a rant because it really, really pisses me off.
Somebody said that foundational Black Americans would not be rooting for the downfall of America because this is the country that our great-great-great-grandparents built. And I would just like to say, you're half right. And before anybody tries to come and question me, baby, I'm 6 generations deep in this bitch. And I know exactly who and where I come from. So let's get into it. Yes, our family members, our ancestors, our people built this country. By 1860, 4 million enslaved people produced well over 60% of this nation's wealth. Enslaved Africans and enslaved African Americans literally and figuratively built this nation. That includes the U.S. Capitol and the White House. If you would like to, you can read more about that at the Smithsonian National Museum of African American Culture. Please understand that slavery created the startup capital for the U.S. economy's rise. And that capital accumulated under slavery continues to grow exponentially because of compound interest. It accrues today to the white heirs of the estates built by slave labor. And the heirs of the Black laborers who toiled for free have been excluded by law from their rightful inheritance. So yeah, our ancestors built this country, without a doubt. And then this country denied them their 40 acres and a mule that they were promised. And then this country passed black codes to put them back into legal servitude. And then created sharecropping to keep them economically trapped. Used redlining to deny them home ownership. Use the GI Bill to build white generational wealth while denying Black veterans. And today, without intervention, it would take 228 years for the average Black American family to build the same wealth as their white counterparts. 228 years, according to the NAACP. So when I look at this country, I don't see a country that was built for us. I see a corporation that was built by us, owned by someone else that has never once paid its debt. A corporation that quite literally needs an underclass to function. Did you know that Black Americans hold 2% of the nation's wealth? Less than 2%, according to Berkeley Economic Review. And that's not by accident. That is a feature of this nation, of this corporation. So will the fall of America hurt Black and brown communities first? Yes, of course, it always does. Every economic crisis in American history, Black and brown communities see it and feel it first. The 2008 housing crisis, Black families, Black American families felt it first, losing 53% of the wealth. COVID, Black Americans died at twice the rate. Every recession, every inflation spike, every single crisis, same story. So in that respect, I understand why some people are saying don't root for the fall of America. But here's my question. What exactly are we protecting? A system that was designed with our subjugation built into the infrastructure? A corporation that used our ancestors as startup capital? Still ain't paid that debt? Instead of saying that I'm rooting for destruction, I'm just going to say that I'm rooting for something better to be built in its place. You wouldn't renovate a house whose foundation was built on the bones of your ancestors and call it home.
So last night I posted this on Threads. It's not a matter of Black people not caring. It is the fact that whenever anything happens, someone is asking us, where are the Black people? Like we are required and mandated to show up. Why are we always requested? Stop asking us where we are at and go ask your friends. Black people will always and have always been on the ground fighting, but stop requesting us like we are your own personal Avengers. Black people are on the ground doing the work. That's not the problem. We care about these things. We fight for these things. We know that not all immigrants are from Mexico or Latin America, okay? We understand that. But the issue is this constant request for us to come do labor. Like, oh, shit's hitting the fan. Where are the Black people? Where are the Black people at? Shit's hitting the fan. We're not your personal Avengers. We aren't superheroes. We do a lot of the work and it goes unnoticed. It goes unthanked, and that is fine. It really is, because that's what we do. We care and we fight and we organize, and we've been doing that for decades. But to come and get on these social media sites, to get on Kelly Rowland's internet and continuously say, where are the Black people? Why aren't they out fighting? Is making it seem like we are obligated and mandated to show up, when who is showing up for us? Because don't worry, we are showing up. We're just fucking tired of you asking us, requesting us like we're your maid service. Oh, and one more thing. If you're asking us where we are, that lets me know that you're not even really doing the work. Because if you were doing the work, you would fucking see us.
Why can't white people just leave Black people alone? People watch my videos on social media talking about anti-racism, talking about reparations, and they can't control themselves. They have to comment and tell me, I disagree. I don't agree with what you're saying. That's ridiculous. That's stupid.
Because it is ridiculous and stupid. Or maybe I'm saying that because I'm white. See, I've been told so many times that I talk white and that I think like white people, even though I don't understand what that means. But I'm starting to believe that, oh my God, that I am white. But is this you?
White people, do this on Juneteenth. How do you celebrate Juneteenth as a white? Every white person needs to watch this. 3 ways white allies cause unintentional harm. 3 ways that white allies cause unintentional harm during conflict. Here are 3 ways that white allies cause unintentional harm. White supremacy makes white people stupid.
I mean, what? I didn't even have to scroll far because I ain't got time for that. And I still found those videos. Like, how do you dedicate all your social media platform to talking about white people and then expect white people not to react, not to comment, not to disagree? It's not making sense. It's just like me dedicating my whole social media platform to talking about Asians and then expect Asians to keep quiet and not react and not comment and not disagree, and then come online cry about it, and say, why can't Asians leave me alone? Why can't Asians leave Africans alone? Leave black people alone? See how that sounds? It's not making any sense whatsoever. You know what you're doing when you say things that you say and target one specific group of people. Obviously, TikTok loves drama and controversial things, and they would help you spread it out to people's For You page. So you can't come online and start crying victim. It doesn't work that way. If you can't take the heat, then stay out of the kitchen. If you can't take it, then don't dish it out. Common sense, I promise, it's just common sense.
I don't know. I think black people should just reserve compassion for themselves at this point.
Hell yeah.
I think black people should just reserve compassion for us and us alone. Cause I hate to be that motherfucking person, but
No, I don't.
if you ask me, we've been too peaceful. We always marching. We always praying. We even was praying for our enemies. That's the crazy
Fuck shit.
thing. I mean, some of our ancestors was willing to get spit on,
Insane.
water holes, beat, drag, hung, all types of shit for the sake of peace and being diplomatic and turning the other cheek and taking a higher road. And it just seemed like that shit ain't getting us
Not a
nothing.
damn thing.
I remember Farrakhan was talking about it where Martin Luther King was like, Martin Luther King was the symbol of peace, the symbol of diplomacy, and they still killed him because they didn't respect it. Farrakhan said these people only respect what they fear. It's a black girl on here. I forgot your handle, sweetheart. I'm sorry. But it's a black girl on here said maybe so-called black people are not respected because we haven't committed a genocide. And I hate to be that person.
No, I don't.
But it's starting to make sense. We've tried everything when it came down to the peaceful route. Everything imaginable. The only thing so-called black people have not tried is violence. That's the only thing. That's literally the only thing. We've tried marching.
Yeah.
We've tried education.
Yeah.
Sit down.
Yeah.
Meet and greets, bitch.
Yeah.
Forgiveness. Prayer.
All
All
that.
types of shit. That's where I'm at this point. So-called black people need to only have compassion for themselves. And as much as I was like to say we need to have compassion for all of you, we've done all of that. Nobody still don't give a fuck about us.
All right, so here's what we're doing for 2026. It's a new year. We're moving differently. The first thing we're going to be doing, we're not building somebody's country that they can't build themselves. We're not doing that no more, family. None of that year of return, none of that. We're not doing that. We got to focus on self-building home first. We got to start right here in our communities. Any city kids need us 20 miles away. Any city schools need funding 20 miles away, right? Our communities need us 20 miles away. We're not going 10,000 miles away and building other people's countries that can't build themselves. So we're not doing that. We're stopping right now. Second, we're not going to the diaspora wars. We try to explain outside. No more trying to explain. People don't care. They just want to argue with you. They just want to be a contrarian. Some people are trying to troll you. Stop trying to explain yourself. We're not explaining ourselves no more. We got to understand that good publicity, bad publicity is publicity. So us arguing with people, even saying in something bad in the bad light, what's happening is we're propping people up and giving people clout, right? When we go around on a global scale, you ask what's an Iwe, what's a Yoruba, what's an Igbo, people are going to be like, what the freak is that? They're not going to know what it is. But you ask about a black American, they're going to say, oh, okay, they're going to give you a whole grocery list, history, and the whole background about the things we did on a day-to-day basis or back in the day, right? So why are we arguing, right? No more arguing back and forth. The third thing, making sure our money stay within our communities, right? We're making sure our money stay within our communities. Shopping with black American-owned businesses. We do 1.9 and 2.6 trillion dollars. Africa do 2.8 trillion dollars. The whole continent, 2.8 trillion dollars. So we do 85 to 90% of what the whole continent of Africa do with 1.5 billion people. Let's be clear, family. And we're projected to do $103 trillion by 2050. The whole continent of Africa is projected to do $29 trillion by 2050. So we're going to 3 to 4x the whole continent of Africa. And by that time, there should be about 3 billion people. So again, let's start focusing on home to make sure we keep that money within our communities, make sure we're good, and then after we can start helping other people. No more trying to save other people. No more trying to do none of that. We've been pouring out empty cups for the last 65 years. We've been the emotional currency of the world. We've been stepping in front of everyone's atrocities. We've been the carpet for the world to step on. Now it's time to make sure home is good. We good first, all right? Let's straighten up and fly away. I love y'all. I'm excited for the future. Let's get it.
One of the most difficult and exhausting things about being black in this country, but especially during times like this, is seeing how frequently you stand alone when you ride for everybody else. Black people voted in the greatest percentage against Trump, and even though he ran on deportations in all 3 of his campaign cycles, which still isn't affecting black people, we still showed the most support against him in those policies. Deportation doesn't affect us, and still we voted against him and his policies, knowing that they would affect everyone else more than us. We literally rode for y'all harder than you rode for yourselves. Yet so many of you have spoken up against every pro-black safety, empowerment, civil rights, peace movement that we've had, at least my lifetime. And don't get me wrong, there have been plenty of you who supported, and you already know I'm not talking to or about you. I'm talking about people like the Latinos that voted for Trump and sang songs about it, and then when their abuelas got deported are like, well, where are the black people standing up for us? The where's Kamala crowd. The group that still listens to this administration of idiots and somehow blames Barack Obama for shit that's going on right now. So consistently, this country has shown black people that being black means to be in everyone else's corner but have no one in yours. And the most frustrating part remains the reality, the knowledge that we're gonna still keep fighting, not just for you, but for us as well, because we know that injustice anywhere is injustice everywhere. And if one of us isn't free, then none of us are free. Despite how frustrating it is for us that y'all can't get that through your fucking skulls.
Racists are obsessed with black people. I just saw a video of a black woman talking about how there was a neurological research done on racist white men and racist white women. And she said that their brain waves and their brain patterns match the brain waves of a person that has an addiction and someone with obsessive compulsive disorder. Racists are the most illogical people on the planet because they live in their own concept of reality and they go around the world projecting that illogicality onto other people. You have created this weird competition in your mind that doesn't even exist, and that's why you think there's going to be a race war. You literally have created this narrative and this standard for people in your own brain that also doesn't even exist. You've created this totem pole where you have put yourself at the top of it, which also doesn't exist. Creating unnecessary competition where there is none is a sign of insecurity. This is why I think that racists are low IQ people, because they're so illogical and there's no logic in hatred. Let me know down below in the comment section what you think of those discoveries. Like, comment, and follow for more commentary content.
The government is using reactive abuse and Black Americans are using the Grey Rock method. That would be the best way to explain what's currently going on. That would explain the targeting towards Black people and all of these things that seem to be going on in order to literally upset Black people and get us into the streets. But the thing is, Black people using the Grey Rock method is literally us not giving attention to the abuser that is using reactive abuse in order to then make the Black community react and go out into the streets and riot and be angry and all of these things in order to basically feed off of that energy. It's basically to feed off of that energy and then create another narrative of Black people being angry and violent and all of these things. Like, that's quite literally the whole thing. But since Black people are using the Grey Rock method and basically not giving the reaction to the government that they want from Black people, that's causing the abuser who's trying to use reactive abuse, it's causing them to actually ramp up their violence and ramp up the abuse and ramp up all of these tactics of reactive abuse in order to upset Black people. But Black people are still using the Grey Rock method, meaning we're not going out into the streets and we're not causing riots and we're not being violent. So their narrative isn't actually working for them. Like, that's the whole thing. And it's like, what happens when we use the Grey Rock method and we don't give them the reaction that they want? They ramp up all of the craziness, but at the end of the day, they're going to implode. Like, they're literally going to do so many things to specifically target Black people that literally the whole system is going to crumble and collapse. And they will no longer be able to do these things anyway. Like, I fully believe that's what's going on. Because now, with the Black community using the Grey Rock method against the government that's using reactive abuse, now they're going to just keep ramping that up and making things more and more crazy, but then it will just become more and more clear and more obvious that the government is literally doing everything that it can in order to provoke and get a reaction out of Black people. And so it will get crazier, but it will just show that that's what they've been doing this whole time. And so then the system will start to implode and then the system will begin to collapse. Mind you, I believe we're already within the collapse of the American empire anyway, but it's just like, it feels like their last ditch effort to harvest energy from Black Americans or to literally get us in the streets and then create a narrative of negativity surrounding Black Americans. It's so crazy.
I am trying to get real with myself and with other white people, and it is painful work. There's a whole lot of blame toward Black people for being the cause of how white people treat them, and I'm trying to get to the bottom of that. I decided to take a closer look at slavery, since that's such a big topic in the United States. There has been slavery all over the world forever, and all colors of people have enslaved other colors of people for as long as we know about. But the transatlantic slave trade, in which Europeans brought African and Caribbean Black people to the United States to be free labor in the new colonies before they were really the United States, is a whole different story of slavery. Slavery historically had to do with who won and who lost a war, who was convenient, who stumbled by at the wrong time, and so it wasn't specifically race-based. So why did these white Europeans choose Black people to enslave? Because their physical differences from whites made it easier to create lies that they were biologically inferior. They invented science to defend this. It was easier to make these people who looked so different from us less human. And that lie made it easier to justify torture, rape, family separation, and death on a massive scale. And it made them, quite frankly, easier to identify if they tried to escape. The legacy didn't disappear when slavery ended. Eugenics came along and fed the racial superiority notion of whiteness, and it influenced the Nazi narrative along with the racial one. It carried over into segregation, Jim Crow, housing, policing, incarceration, education, all of that. If we're ever going to fix what's broken, we need to get curious enough to name how it got broken in the first place. White people need to get curious so we can say no more, not on my watch.
Welcome back, guys. What stood out to me wasn't just people saying they don't want to protest anymore. It was why they are saying it. Over and over again, creators repeated the same idea. We are tired. Not tired of caring. Not tired of justice. They are tired of feeling like they are expected to show up every time in the society that has crisis, while many of the same people asking for help disappear when Black communities are dealing with problems of their own. That's the frustration these creators are expressing. One creator compared it to being treated like society's emergency response team. Whenever something goes wrong, people suddenly remember Black activists. Suddenly, everyone wants organizing. Everyone wants marching. Everyone wants leadership. But once the headline disappears, so does the support. And that's a cycle many people say they're no longer willing to repeat. Another point that really caught my attention was the idea that silence isn't surrender. Some creators describe it as almost like refusing to play a game where the rules are always stacked against you. If every protesting gets labeled dangerous, if staying quiet gets called weakness, then maybe refusing to participate at all becomes its own statement. Whether people agree with that or not, it's clearly a mindset that's gaining attention online. Then there is an economic side of this conversation. Let's be honest, life is expensive. Groceries, rent, gas, insurance, everything costs more. People across America are struggling, but several creators argued something interesting. They said many Black families have spent generations learning how to survive economic hardship because financial instability isn't new to them. That doesn't mean anyone enjoys struggling. It means some communities have unfortunately had decades of experiencing adapting when times get difficult. Another major theme was boundary, not isolation, boundaries. A lot of these creators aren't saying they hate anyone else. They are saying they are choosing themselves for once. Instead of pouring endless energy into fixing national problems, they are focusing on building businesses, supporting black-owned businesses, saving money, taking care of their mental health, spending more time with families, creating stronger local communities. In other words, they are asking what happens if we invest that same energy back on ourselves. And honestly, that's a question every community asks at some point. One creator made a comparison to the grey lock method. For anyone who doesn't know, it's a philosophical strategy where you stop giving emotional reaction to someone who's constantly trying to provoke you. The creator argued that refusing to react can sometimes be more powerful than reacting exactly how people expect. Whether that's the perfect comparison is up for debate, but it explains why so many creators believe silence itself has become a message. Another conversation centered around economic power. Several speakers argued that black consumers represent enormous buying power in America. Their point wasn't simply about spending money, it was about being intentional. Supporting businesses that support your community, keeping wealth circulating longer, building ownership instead of depending on outside institutions. Again, people can debate the numbers, but the broader idea is about economic independence. And that's a conversation happening across many communities today. What I also found interesting is the public reaction. Some people online genuinely seem confused. They are asking, why isn't anyone organizing? But other creators push back by asking a different question. Why is the responsibility always expected to fall on the same people? That question sits at the center of this entire discussion. Not anyone will answer it the same way, but it's worth thinking about. Now, here is where I think this conversation becomes even more than politics. Burnout is real. People eventually reach to a point where they decide they can't keep carrying every burden. That doesn't mean they stop caring. Sometimes it means they finally start caring about themselves too. And maybe that's what we are witnessing. Not people giving up, people changing priorities, choosing peace, choosing family, choosing financial stability, choosing to protect their mental health. For some viewers, that's going to sound selfish. For others, it's going to sound like a long overdue self-preservation. Either way, it's sparking conversation all over across social media. At the end of the day, this conversation isn't really about being loud or quiet. It's about who people believe should carry the weight of social change. Some creators believe black Americans have carried that responsibility for generations. Now, many are saying it's time to focus on themselves before trying to save everyone else. Whether this is a temporary moment or the beginning of a much bigger cultural shift, only time will tell. But one thing is certain, people have noticed the silence, and sometimes silence changes the conversation more than shouting ever could. Anyway guys, what do you think about this video? Drop your thoughts in the comment section and don't forget to subscribe to my channel. Like and share the video to help the channel out. See you in my next video. For now, peace.